Hey everybody, it's Jillian. So I wanted to clarify something about the agencies, more so around the health and wellness, like the FDA and the EPA. See, in the USDA and all the different government agencies that are like the I don't know, the guardians, I guess. I don't say guardians, but they have to take a very large population into account and make recommendations regarding the median, like the average person. Okay? And so just understand that the Jilly Juice crowd, we're not average. Okay? I'm just going to say that very plain and clear. All of you guys that are doing the JJ mentality, you're not average. And so you can handle certain EPA standards that may not be appropriate for some people. You can handle certain USDA standards that or processes that may not be appropriate for the people. So the USDA has to step in. Okay, the USDA, the agriculture. You could probably handle a lot of the processes that the government agencies go in and try to modify because you're looking at public health. Okay, so this is a really big picture. And so the FDA has two sides to the agency. They have the food and the drugs. Well, we're not really focusing on the drug side of it because those on the JJ mentality, we're pretty much off the drugs, where we're weaning ourselves off the drugs. And so we're not really worried about that and their recommendations. And they don't make recommendations. They just warn people, okay, or take something off the market. But the food side is what you guys have to be concerned about, because some of you not only are growing your own food, which, okay, fine. Remember, we're not doing organic, so that's fine. It's GMO, whatever. But you're also buying processed foods because I said, yes, you need the bioengineered food supply. But they are looking from a standpoint of 99.99% of the population don't want to feel pain. They have a history of heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, cancer disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disease, on a string of herbs and drugs. Even if they weren't diagnosed, they feel they exhibited some characteristic, wasn't officially diagnosed, and then turned to the holistic market to deal with their symptoms. So the FDA is targeting those people. Now, I'm going to call them weak. I'll tell you why. Because the weak people need an intermediary to tell them what is safe and what is not safe based upon the perception that pain is not safe. Okay? Well, yeah, pain can be not safe on a body that doesn't know how to feed it, doesn't understand it, and doesn't want to deal with it. Okay? And so when them taking 12% of the sodium out of the processed foods and out of the restaurants, they are catering to the lowest common denominator. They're catering to the baby boomer population that can't handle anything evolutionary or high energy. Okay? And so public health really has to do with the mass people, the average person, the median person. They're not targeting you, Jilly Juicer. So when you watch mainstream media, and I'm telling you, do not disengage from mainstream media. Those of you who fancy yourselves as, different and don't want to listen to mainstream media news and think you're, better than that, they're going to tell you what they're doing in regards to public health, and they're going to tell you we're taking out, salt, we're cutting salt down, and like I said before last night, they might be even targeting the sugar, because I was watching Cleveland 19 or Cleveland Fox or something, and one of these organic people somewhere in North Ohio was saying, well, I don't really like the fact that they're targeting the foods, taking salt out of certain foods. They should be going after donuts. They should be going after, all the high sugary foods. And so I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a war on sugar too. Okay? And so there's a reason why my dog is named Sugar, and I didn't name her Sugar. She was named by the Humane Society, and I'm dealing with salt. So we're both balancing each other out. But there's going to be a war on sugar in the future, because people think that sugar is poison. They don't realize that sugar builds their DNA. Sugar and phosphates, support all of everything that makes you, you. And so when they're going after sugar and they're going after salt, they're going after toxins. Like look at Codex Alimentarius, and they are going after all the toxins that all people in the holistic world have laid the groundwork to put fear of God in, and those toxins are just basically minerals. When the reason why people have issues with minerals and the issues with toxins and chemicals and food dyes and sugar and all that stuff, it's because you're lacking salt. Okay, you're lacking salt. That's why people have issues with minerals. And Oz Stewart says they've done it here. We have a sugar and salt tax. Sugar was first. It's now really expensive and almost impossible to get non-sugar free products. But you don't want non-sugar. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's also possible to get not to get what non-sugar what you want to have sugar in your products, but it's not really expensive. Almost impossible to get non-sugar free products. Non-sugar free. So you want sugarful. Okay. Something like that. Okay. I'm trying to figure out your double negatives here. Write that again if you want. Real sugar in product. Okay. Got it. Okay. So that's why you buy your own, you buy sugar at the, don't even buy organic sugar. Buy the refined sugar. Because, double, yeah, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, that's actually used in test taking, and they do the double negatives, and you have to think twice about watching or reading some of your questions because they trick you. All right, so y'all know you can hear me because my microphone is down here, so I'm just gonna hold my freaking phone. But anyway, so the FDA is looking after the most, the lowest common denominator, and the lowest common denominator are going to be the mainstream population. And so when you look at what the mainstream does, you don't do exactly the opposite, okay? Because they do take into account even your, I would say, atmosphere. And they know that, there's a certain amount of parts per million of any type of pollutant that you can handle. So yeah, if you live next to an oil refinery, I lived next to an oil refinery for years, and I was starting the JGs at the time. So I'm fine with oil refineries and all of that. Obviously, we are dealing with the left wing, and they're part of the green machine, which is not a bad thing, okay? And so be thankful that we are going into a more greener environment, which means that they're going to also be taking out things from people's food because they can't handle the evolution. But just remember, everything they take out, you just put right back in, okay? Because you must have sugar for everybody. They're just trying to lower the amounts for those that are immunocompromised, and they're going to do it automatically in the processed food supply. Okay? And so the FDA isn't bad per se. They're just looking out for the common person. But remember, the JJ crowd were uncommon. We're not like the normal people, right? The people that have issues, that don't want to feel pain. It sucks to be sick. But in this environment, you'll be more evolutionary sick after you reverse all your issues when you're dealing with people who have issues dropping their infected volatile mucus RPGs. And so that's why no matter what, at this point, when you're doing the JJ mentality, you're going to feel all your latent viruses. You're going to feel the evolutionary sickness. You got to feed it. Stay home, stay safe, whatever. And when you finally reverse all your issues, maybe the next couple of years, there's still going to be about 7 billion, maybe a little bit less, that are still going to mutate in viruses because they have infection. They have issues. They're dying and reproducing. And when you're dying and reproducing, you are letting go of infection all the time. Okay? When someone has cancer, they have infection because that's fast replicating cells. All right? And so you're going to be seeing a lot of evolution until the mainstream has scaled down the population, until they've picked up my information and realized that salt will put people in a cured state after they initially deal with their predispositions. But people don't even want to deal with their predispositions. So first they have to do the first layer, the first wave of scaling down the very weak people. And the virus is going to do that already. The virus has been doing that for the last, couple years. The new viruses will come through, will also take down people notch by notch that are not keeping up. Okay? If you're not keeping up and you're way behind the 8 ball and you're aging and you're degrading and you have dealing with cancer disease and chronic illness and you're reacting to your symptoms with all the different pills, powder supplements, and detox and herbs and extracts, you're going to be leveled out by the virus. The virus is going to kick your ass because you're taking yourself down notch by notch. And that's what's going on, is the stress of the economy, the stress of the food supply, the stress of competing for resources, the stress of just all the stuff that's going on, and the fear of the future is going to take people out. It's going to take away their strength. So they become weaker and weaker, which then makes them more susceptible to the new viral variants that are going to be so extreme. And so that's why I say you need to not only stay home, stay safe, but you need to add more weight to your body. This winter is going to be a doozy. I already see it. They're telling us the gas is going to be higher. We have natural gas, right? And so I'm going to be like, buying cords of wood, and thank God I've gained some weight. Thank God that I might be going to seeing more viruses so I can feel the heat again, because that'll be my own little fireplace in my body, is these mutating viruses. Thank God that my dog, she's not obese, but I'll keep her warm and I'll keep her fed, of course. My husband has meat on his bones and all that. And so thank God that we are prepared. Those of you that have been doing the JJ mentality, we're prepared. Okay, now is not the time to be skinny. Now is not the time to try to look cute for anyone, because these viruses are going to be so freaking strong. They already are. This morning I felt a little bit of heat, but no fever. It's just the heat. It's like a trip. It's the trippiest feeling ever. Okay? And so anyways, I just want you guys to just pay attention to the news, pay attention to the recommendations of the FDA, pay attention to everything, because they're going to be the indicators to let you know what they're going to do. So that way, when you know it's about food and access to food and what they're taking out or putting in, putting in food, I don't care. It's what they're taking out of food. Because even when they were saying about ecolai and salmonella and chicken and all that stuff, we can handle those bacterias. Just put some freaking salt on it and it neutralizes anything that's aggressive. But they will never tell you that. Already they're taking away the salt, but they will never tell you that salt will just neutralize mold. It will neutralize anything that's aggressive in the food. Put some salt on. If the salad is supposed to be contaminated with E. coli, put some salt on the salad. It'll neutralize the E. coli. But they won't tell you that chemical, that chemistry, that bit of juicy data that people desperately need, because they have been scared away from salt to such an extent that they try to attribute salt to hypertension, salt to high blood pressure. You know what high blood pressure is from? The anti-diuretic hormone kicking in because you're not drinking enough water, and then it forces the water that's being retained through the weakened blood vessels. Okay, and so it ups the blood pressure, because now blood has this extra hormone, the anti-diuretic hormone, pumping the water through. So it raises, so you have to have energy, so it raises your blood pressure, of course, because it's pushing stuff through. And you're not drinking enough water. And then hypertension, is either not and is either from not enough salt or too much salt on a body that's not drinking enough water. And so, and you're not drinking enough water, then the hormones kick in. That's called bloating. The anti-diuretic hormone causes bloating. That's why people were experiencing bloating in the beginning when they were doing the J juice, because their body wasn't used to getting that kind of salt, and they weren't getting enough water in the beginning. But when you drink water and do more of the J juice, eventually the bloating goes down. The body realizes that you're not, going to starve it from water and be dehydrated. So it doesn't need to retain, water like the anti-diuretic hormone forces the body to in reaction to. So salt doesn't dehydrate, contrary to popular belief and all the trolls and the people who are in fear and the In the holistic allopathic, contrary to popular belief, salt does not dehydrate. Now, if you're a freaking jellyfish, if you're a slug, yeah, salt will dehydrate you. But most people are not jellyfish and slug. Well, no, you're not. You're not that small. Okay? So, when you salt on a body is not going to dehydrate you because you're going to be drinking water. And you have enough water in your body that if you're not drinking enough water, that the hormones are going to retain the water that's somewhere in your body and start pushing things through. Okay? But those that have hypertension also missing vitamin D because they have so much melanin blocking the hormones. And so when you take in vitamin D, that also increases blood pressure and heart attacks and strokes because there is more calcium. You have more calcium, or you bring up more calcium in the blood, and then it thickens up the blood vessels or the blood, and then of course forces the vessels to pop or do other stuff. And so those that are not that are dealing with a lot of melanin are then not getting enough vitamin D, or they're overdoing it with supplements. And so that's why there's certain cultures in our society that are going to be more susceptible to these viruses, of which why then a lot of them have hypertension and high blood pressure because of the lack of water. They're not, even though they might be on a high sodium diet, they haven't recalibrated the viruses and their hormones are unbalanced. And that's why some people are going to have a hard time with the JJ mentality because they have a lot more to get through. Okay. But I mean, I think that when you're in a cold climate, if you're in a climate like half the year it's very hot and half the year it's very cold, then half the year when it's really hot and you're outside, you should be getting darker, right? Because that's the melanin going in and protecting you from too much UV radiation, no different than the 7 layers of the atmosphere. When you're inside for winter, then you should be getting lighter, because that means then your body is going to allow more of the UV rays coming in because there's not a lot of sun during that time. You're not out a lot. And so you're not going to be, you're not going to be taking on more melanin. But it's when you're in a cured state where the melanin just stays there regardless if you're out, if you're not outside. Okay? If the melanin just stays just like that, then it means that you're always blocking the vitamin D from the sun rays, and then people have vitamin D deficiencies, okay? And then their doctors recommend them supplements, and then the supplements cause then more hypercalcemia, which thickens up the blood, and then that's what triggers and promotes heart attacks and strokes, and not everyone survives them. And so, yes, there's going to be definitely populations that will not take to the virus, and they're probably lowering the sodium content because of the fact that they want to just stop the activity. But when you stop activity, then what happens? You become inert, your insides become jellified, not much form, and obesity, or the fact that you just can't pump any more blood to your heart because you don't have enough salt. And so when a virus comes in that's high energy, you don't have any defenses. And that's pretty crazy. That's the double-edged sword of the medical holistic industry. I know where they're coming from. But I mean, when you already have scared people away from salt, how can you tell them that salt's going to save your life? I mean, so the medical holistic industry painted themselves in a corner, but maybe that's the intention. Maybe that is the intention. Because I'm telling you, when they realize something isn't working, like when they said the J&J or the Moderna or something wasn't working correctly, they pulled it off the market, or they said, no, we can't do this. They can do shit that quick when they realize things aren't working the way they have sold it to work, right? No, they've sold this shit to work the way it's supposed to work. So they're going to keep scaring people away from salt, but they're not going to eradicate it altogether because you need it for the snow. You need it for, foods. You got to have some salt in foods. Even though it's low sodium, it's still sodium, so you got to have sodium. Now it's up to you to put in what you need. And yeah. So I'm going to go do my thing. But yeah, this is very interesting. But watching this unravel, and we had to let it play out. We had to let it play out. Now that we know what the true thing is going on, pay attention to mainstream media. They're going to let you know what they're going to do. And that will be the clue to you to make sure that you protect yourself as an evolving woman, man, binary, non-binary, whatever. Okay? Do not shoot yourself in the foot and disengage from the matrix, which many people in the conspiracy truth world are doing. They are shooting themselves in the foot by disengaging. That's a wrong way to look at it. All right. Bye.